And I'm Nadine Yanis. We begin this half hour with a push to preserve wildlife after Hurricane Ian, with concerns from advocates as canal cleanup efforts continue in the city of Cape Coral, challenging city leaders again on how they are removing the debris from those canals.
And it's going to be an ongoing issue for some time in Cape. Fox 4's Colton Chavez tells us pictures like this one sent to him showing what some property owners say is the destruction of wildlife by city-hired contractors along those freshwater canals. And tonight he joins us as we're following through for you on this. And Colton's here near one of those canals in the Cape. And
Colton, this was a conversation you first told us about last week when residents were also demanding changes here.
That's right, Nadine, and we just saw those pictures that Chris was talking about, and this is the reality. You can see these banks behind me completely stripped of this vegetation, and what the residents are telling me is that it's actually destroying the habitat for a lot of the animals that call these canals home. Now, since the beginning, Cape Coral city leaders, they've said, hey, we are legally permitted to be able to do this job, but what we're learning tonight is that along with being permitted to do this job, they're not having a few more requirements. The sounds of an undisturbed canal have Cape Coral wildlife activists like Lori Bulcock.
All of those canals up in the northwest,
saying the sounds of hurricane debris cleanup are a clear calling for change.
They're not biologists, they're not ecologists. You know, they've supposedly been trained by their bosses. Trained for what?
They, meaning the city-hired canal debris removal contractors who, according to Lori, are removing excessive amounts of green vegetation, which she says is destroying the habitat for animals.
There's no requirement per se that says that they have to be an ecologist or there has to be an ecologist on site.
Cape Coral Public Works Director Michael Ilchizin says city crews are legally permitted to do this kind of work, but says he's heard residents' concerns.
We're setting up a training for all the contractors to go a step above and beyond, so take them into the office, provide them the training from a certified ecologist and a licensed practitioner.
Melissa Mickey, a spokesperson for Cape Coral, elected to answer my follow-up question when I asked if the extra training was because protected animals like burrowing owls or gopher tortoises have been harmed during this process. Mickey said in a statement, quote, "To our knowledge, no protected species have been harmed during any canal debris removal efforts." A statement that Lori hopes will remain true as city contractors start to do what Lori calls the right way.
You know how many hurricanes they've dealt with? You know what experience they have probably or should have with doing things the right way, avoiding things they shouldn't take out?
And another big talking point that we heard from Michael Ilchizin earlier today was, he says, we acknowledge that we're removing a lot of green vegetation, but one thing he wanted to point out was, he says, a lot of these trees and bushes that have been uprooted, they can actually remain green for between 4 to 6 months. So that gives off the perception that they're removing healthy vegetation, when in the reality, Michael Ilchizin says that it's actually a needed piece of vegetation that has to be removed, so that way they can get crews down into the canal. Again, like Nadine and Chris have said, this is going to be a developing story that we continue to follow, and you can trust Fox 4 to update you both on air and online at fox4now.com. Live in Cape Coral tonight, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.